welcome back. Today I am doing a video essentially summarizing my journey to clear skin, all about how I took my skin from this to this all within this same year, and I will insert some footage of my skin. That after picture is taken today. It's what my skin looks like currently. So I'll have some video here showing you guys that that's like not Photoshop, that is what my skin looks like, because obviously I am wearing makeup today. In the past 10 months I have done a ton of videos sharing my entire experience, but it's a lot of videos, it's very spread out over one place, so I wanted to do this video where I can summarize my entire 7 months on Accutane quickly. I know this video is probably still going to be pretty long, but I'm going to try and sum up my experience and answer kind of all of the questions that I've gotten in this past year in one place for you guys. So let's just jump into it. So I have struggled with cystic acne since I was a preteen, but this past winter when I was 21, my skin got particularly bad, so I decided to seek out a dermatologist referral. My family doctor had recommended Accutane to me numerous times before, like when I was 16, 17, that kind of age. I was always terrified of the side effects and just very wary in general, so I never decided to take it. Prior to this, I had tried birth control, which worked temporarily. I tried tetracycline and then just a whole slew of like skincare regimes, both like store-bought and like DIY home remedy kind of things, and nothing ever worked for me. I also tried like adjusting my diet, because that's a big thing people recommend, and just nothing ever worked. So I had my first dermatologist appointment, and immediately upon seeing me, my dermatologist recommended that I go on Accutane, and I just felt like the timing was right, and the fact that he recommended it without hesitation, and I was also at a point where I was just like so done having acne. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Now I'm Canadian, so the process of being prescribed Accutane is definitely different than it is in the States and other parts of the world. Basically, they went over the side effects with me. They had me sign an agreement stating that I would use 2 different forms of birth control the entire time I was on it. That is a requirement as a female where I live, because Accutane does cause some pretty serious birth defects. I was given my 3-month prescription immediately, and the only requirement I had before starting to take it was going and getting my first round of monthly blood work done, because that is another requirement when you are taking Accutane. And I know this is different in other parts of the world as well, but I only ended up seeing my dermatologist a total of 3 times over these 7 months. I had an appointment, like my starting appointment, a 3-month check-in, and then an appointment when I had about like 6 weeks left or so. Most people have to see their dermatologist a lot more. I was prescribed 40 milligrams every second day, so that is definitely a very low dosage. My dermatologist basically explained that in the past with his patients, he's seen really good results with a low dosage every second day, because it still effectively clears up their skin but really minimizes the side effects. So I was on board with that, and my 15 pills a month cost me roughly $44 Canadian, and that is with no healthcare coverage plan. Once again, that will vary a lot. My dermatologist recommended to use very gentle and mild and also oil-free products while taking Accutane, and he also said to avoid any products that have like acne treatment ingredients in them, like salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, etc. So on March 7th, I took my first pill of Accutane. Now typically when you start Accutane, you go through like a purging stage. This roughly lasts from like 3 weeks to 6 weeks, give or take, from what I've heard. So what this means is that typically your skin will get worse before it gets better. My purging stage was relatively mild. My skin was always extremely oily, but I remember waking up after I had been taking it for a week, and my skin was the oiliest it had ever been. It was like at a gross level, honestly. Like I would wake up and my skin would be drenched with oil. I could only keep my makeup on for like 2 or 3 hours. It would literally start like sliding and melting off of my face. Thankfully, that extreme oiliness only lasted for a few days, and then my skin started to get kind of like red and irritated. It felt kind of like a mild sunburn almost, like when you touch your skin and you can still kind of like feel where you've touched. It's just kind of like tender and irritated. Also, my skin was a little bit itchy, which I read is common once again, but like if I would itch my face, it would like sting a little bit, but then that sensation would linger for like a very long time, that kind of mild stinging, which was interesting. In the purging stage, I also started developing some small whiteheads and also some like blackheads and clogged pores in my nose area, and I remember one day that month I woke up with the biggest cyst I have ever had, like right here. It seriously felt like there was a grape underneath my skin, but it did heal a lot faster than like a huge cyst like that normally would. My forehead and nose area, just like right in my T-zone, like between my brows kind of thing, also got very flaky, so I had to make sure I was exfoliating really well, but with something really gentle once once again because my skin was a little bit irritated. Now within a couple weeks my skin started to get less oily. I would sometimes skip moisturizer just when I was like lazy, or like if I wasn't putting on makeup right away in the morning, I would just like wash my face and just leave it, because within 15 minutes my skin would start getting oily and it would feel comfortable again. And I remember one day I didn't moisturize because I just didn't think anything of it, and hours later my skin still had that like freshly washed kind of like tight and uncomfortable feeling, which was really weird for me. That was definitely the moment where I was like, okay, my skin is starting to change. Then by like weeks 3 to 4 I was still breaking out, but my skin had completely stopped producing oil. It wasn't dry, it was just like a nice perfect balance of like normal skin. And that is actually how my skin stayed for most of my treatment, thankfully. My dryness was very minimal, and I kind of attribute that to the fact that I was on a very low dosage and I was so extremely oily to start off with. I did start to see a little bit of body dryness. I mostly had like dry, scaly, flaky patches on my forearms and then also my shoulders, but this was not consistent at all. Like it kind of popped up every once in a while throughout the 3 months, and I was like not diligent with moisturizing my body at all. I tried to here and there, but I wasn't on top of it, and the body dryness was really, really minimal. The next side effects I started to see were dry eyes and joint pain. Dry eyes, once again, is not a side effect I saw consistently throughout the 7 months. It was just kind of like here and there. It kind of like flared up at certain points, but I did have to start using eye drops regularly. The joint pain, on the other hand, has probably been the most consistent side effect. My back started to ache, and I've just been very generally sore in like my hips and my ankles. I noticed like first thing when I get up in the morning, I really have a hard time like getting up and like getting down the stairs and everything. Or if I've been sitting down for even like half an hour and then I get up, I'm just kind of stiff. And it's not like a post-workout kind of soreness. It's more like immediate. Like if you work out, you feel it like the next couple days or whatever. This is more of like an immediate result, but then it doesn't last at the same time, if that makes sense. So it's been kind of a pain, but definitely not something that has like severely impacted my everyday life. I can still do everything I would do normally. The most annoying side effect I had hands down was excessive sweating. Now this is classified as like an extremely rare side effect of Accutane, but I've talked to multiple people who have experienced it as well, and I didn't really kind of link it to Accutane at first. When I first really started noticing the sweating, it was like May, so it was just starting to get warmer out, so I just kind of chalked it up to like the weather getting warmer, but at the same time I have never been a sweaty person, so it was definitely peculiar. And the things I started noticing were, first, no deodorants were working for me, and then second, I was sweating a lot on my upper lip in particular, so my makeup would wear off, and I was just like, why is this happening? Like I'd be applying my foundation and my makeup would like lift off of there because I was sweating so much. I ended up bringing it up in a couple videos, just like totally unrelated, and a bunch of people commented and were like, hey, that's a side effect of Accutane, and that totally made sense once it like clicked in my brain. So going through the summer with that sweating problem was definitely not fun, but it's obviously not that big of a deal. There are far worse side effects you can experience, so it's just like, whatever, I deal with it. I personally did not experience any depression or suicidal thoughts as a side effect. I have struggled with depression in the past, so it was definitely something I was concerned about. The only thing I would say changed with my mood was I was a little bit more irritable, especially in those first few months. I was just like kind of always on edge. Little things would definitely set me off and I'd get kind of angry. Another big thing people have asked me about is hair loss as a side effect. Now, my hair has definitely gotten drier because my scalp also isn't producing oil, and I've started losing like more strands of hair than I usually would, but nowhere near the point where it would be something I'm concerned about. I loved that like normal period for my skin though. Not dealing with like excessively oily skin was so nice. My makeup has never looked better, and I didn't have to use dry shampoo anymore, and I could really already start to see the overall condition of my skin improving. I was still breaking out, which was definitely very frustrating at times, but I had to remind myself like my skin is still getting better and my breakouts are nowhere near at the level that they used to be. By the time summer rolled around, my skin was clearing up really nicely. I was going like a few weeks at a time with like little to no breakouts at all, which was an incredible feeling. Another big concern too that I want to touch on taking Accutane in the summer is sun safety, because Accutane does make your skin more photosensitive, and I did go on a couple vacations just like within Canada this summer, and I'm not prone to sunburning, but I was extremely careful. I was reapplying my sunscreen at least every 2 hours and just minimizing my time in the sun as much as possible, and I never had any issues, but from what I hear, the results for that are very mixed, so definitely stay as safe as you can in the sun. Another thing I should mention is that in June I missed my monthly blood work, which I like panicked about just because I was getting ready for my vacations. It like completely slipped my mind and like literally nothing happened though. My dermatologist didn't call me. It wasn't mentioned at my next appointment, but I know in the States and everything they are a lot more strict on that, so obviously would not recommend skipping your blood work. Also in June my lips started to get a little bit dry. I remember at one point the corners of my mouth were both cracked at the same time, which was awful. Then by mid-July my breakouts were pretty much essentially gone. I went an entire month with no breakouts, and between that time and now I've had like I think 2 very minor breakouts shortly after that time, like within kind of like August. My skin has been totally clear for like a couple months now, which is just such an incredible feeling. But it did take me a while to get to that point, so if you're on Accutane and feeling impatient, just try and remember that any improvement is a good improvement and you will get there eventually. Now September is when my skin and my lips really started to get dry. My lips were peeling and flaking, and they were cracking. I would regularly wake up in the morning with like dried blood on my lips because they had cracked in my sleep. I am so grateful that my lips only got dry when I only had like 2 months left in Accutane, because I know so many people have like extremely dry lips the entire time, so I'm really grateful I only had to deal with it for such a short period. But it was still awful. Like the dryness of the lips is pretty much the side effect everyone experiences, and it was definitely bad. My skin also, I've worked really hard to maintain it, so it's never been like visibly dry, but I started to notice at that point that like products I was using in the past and everything weren't working for me anymore. They would feel uncomfortable on my skin. After that point though, really nothing else changed with my skin or my side effects. The last 2 months were pretty easy going. My main side effects that I had were the dry eyes, the joint pain, and then the sweating, and then the dry lips just for the last little bit, like I said. Also, I should mention that all of my blood work came back totally fine. They check your liver and I believe your cholesterol are 2 of the main things that they watch, and everything was like all good. So all in all, I'm very lucky to have had such a great experience with Accutane. The tricky thing with Accutane is that there's really no like normal. Everyone's experiences vary so differently, and for me that's part of what makes it kind of scary. But at this point I have 0 regrets in taking Accutane. My skin is completely clear, my hyperpigmentation is healing really nicely, and the biggest thing that Accutane has given me is like a gigantic confidence boost. I would never leave the house without a full face of makeup on in the past. Like even to go to the grocery store, I would need a full face of makeup with full coverage foundation, and now I regularly go without makeup and I feel happy, like I feel pretty. I don't feel embarrassed by my skin anymore, which is so liberating. So as of October 29th, I took my last pill, so at this point I am nearly 3 weeks out and I am all done. At my last dermatologist appointment, they did strongly recommend PDL laser treatments for my hyperpigmentation, but I have decided to hold off on that for now and just kind of see how my skin heals naturally. I have had quite a bit of questions on whether or not I am afraid my acne will return, because that's not a super uncommon thing, and I've definitely thought about it a lot. It definitely scares me, but you just have to really hope for the best and remain positive. I am going to be doing post-Accutane updates, so if you want to see any like changes in my skin and everything now that I am all done, definitely hit subscribe down below. I will also be doing a video shortly on like all the products I've used and just like general tips to make your Accutane experience easier on you, but I did recently do a skincare routine and that'll be linked down below if you want to know what I've been using on my face. I really hope you guys have found this video helpful. I just really wanted to do this to kind of wrap up my experience and have this all in one place for those of you who may be new to my channel, or if you're like already subscribed and you might be starting Accutane at some point in the future. I feel like this will be a good reference point so you don't have to go through all of my like 10 videos or whatever I did. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you did find it helpful. That would seriously help me out. Go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I am at SariReanna on all 3, and hit that subscribe button down below if you want to stay up to date with my skin and everything, and also possibly participate in an Accutane Q&A in the future. But that is going to be it for today. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye guys!